Toad for DB2 has a very nice SQL procedure debugging facility built into it, both for DB2 on ZOS as well as DB2 on LUW. Now, to invoke that debugging facility, you have to make sure that your procedures, your SQL procedures, have been built with debug mode enabled. And if they are, you can invoke the debugger on DB2 ZOS or LUW by right-clicking on a procedure and selecting debug. Now, if there are any parameters associated with that procedure, this screen will come up, allowing you to specify those values for input parameters for your procedure. If you click OK, then the next screen that Toad will display is a debugger screen. And it looks a lot like a SQL editor screen, but it's got a lot of different and more advanced controls associated with that. So for example, you could set breakpoints by clicking in the gutter and setting a breakpoint there. And then you could actually have display things like a watch window. And if you have run a debugger before, Toad's going to keep track of your variables that you've watched. So when I open this watch window, it is actually showing the previous values that I set. So it gives you a little benefit there. And then when you're ready, you could hit run. And the run will take you to run the entire procedure unless you have a breakpoint that gets hit, and then it will stop. So I've clicked run, and Toad is now communicating with the server and is going to execute a few statements up until the first breakpoint. And you can see we've got step over buttons that allow you to step over certain statements if you wish. And once things are updated, you can see in my watch window as variables get updated, they will be updated in the watch window down here. And so you could just essentially, step over, step around, step through like a normal debugger that you might be accustomed to for various programming languages. So very easy to set breakpoints, to interrogate variables and expressions and update variables and expressions, and run a debugger for PL SQL and SQL procedures for DB2 ZOS, LUW, as well as DB2 ZOS. I'm just going to click run here and have this procedure run. So that is debugging SQL procedures with Toad for DB2. And if you hover over values, you'll get the values that are set, just like typical debuggers that you might find in for other vendors or for like programming language vendors.